little read aloud, but YouTube. And there will probably be a little ad, so just be patient.
Once you start to dip, it's easy to lose control until the only
Make sure you're listening quietly so your neighbors can hear.
Hi everyone and welcome to Storytime with Miss Yumi. Today's book is Inch by Inch by Leo Leone.
Now you might have heard that story before, but I thought it was a cute little story. Right, and why I chose to have us listen to that story today is because you guys are going to get to do some measuring. We're going to be measuring in inches, just like our little inch one did. But we're also going to be measuring in centimeters. Okay? And let's see, Friday, we practiced this a little bit with your guys' rulers, and I have to paper. I got to measure some. Somebody tell me which side of my ruler is the inches. The numbers that are far apart or the numbers that are super, super close together. What's that?
The numbers are
Yep. The inches are farther apart. So the centimeters are the ones that are closer together. Does anybody remember how many inches do we have on our ruler? Okay, we have 12 inches on our ruler, and we have 30 centimeters on our ruler. Okay, so we get to use inches and centimeters together. Now, our activity is going to be measuring gummy worms. Okay, first we're going to measure our gummy worms. We're just going to gently lay on the table, and you're going to measure and see how many inches long your gummy worm is. And you're going to measure how many centimeters long your gummy worm is. Okay? Then we're going to carefully stretch our gummy worm just a little bit. We don't want it to break. We're going to see how far we can stretch it. Then we're going to measure it again. We're going to measure inches. See how long it is. And you're going to measure centimeters and see how long it is. And I wrote a question up here for us to look at. What do you guys think will happen to our measurement if we stretch the worm? So we're going to measure it regular, and we're going to stretch it out. What do you think is going to happen? Bella, what do you think? You think it's going to be bigger? Touch your nose if you agree with Bella. Our measurement's going to get bigger as we stretch our worm. All right, now let me give you some more directions on how we're going to do this. Okay, you're going to get a piece of paper that looks like this. It's a little half piece of paper. It says, there's a spot for your name. Then there's gummy worm A and gummy worm B. Okay, we're going to start out only doing one gummy worm. If we have time, we'll do a second. Okay, I just put it on there just in case. So, and I put kind of the directions up here in case you forget. We're going to measure your gummy worm in centimeters. And you're going to write it down where it says length before. Okay, you're going to write your measurement down. Then you're going to flip your ruler over and measure in inches. And you're going to write that down on this one where it says length before inches. Okay, that's what that I am. So you have to measure centimeters, write it down. Measure inches, write it down. Then you're going to carefully stretch your worm. And then repeat the same procedure. You're going to measure in centimeters and write it down where it says length after we stretched it. Then you're going to flip it over and measure the length after in inches and write it. Then after you've done those 4 things, you're going to come back and sit on the floor. Your gummy worm is going to stay on the desk. You will get to eat it afterwards if you can follow directions like I know you guys can. stretching your gummy worm and see how far it goes? No. Who can tell me what are you going to do after you put your name on your paper? Braxton. Yes, you're going to measure it. You're just going to lay it. Now some of them might be a little wiggly or like curled up. You can stretch it out so it's flat, but don't be stretching too far. Yes, you're going to measure it in centimeters and inches. Make sure you look on the unit of measurement that you're using so you put it in the correct box. So you're going to measure with centimeters, measure with inches, write them down. Then what are you going to do next? Fold. You're going to carefully stretch it out. What do you do after you stretch it? Ren. Yeah, you're going to measure it in centimeters, again, that it's stretched. Measure it in inches, that it's been stretched. Then you're going to leave your gummy worm on your desk. And then where do you go? Onto the floor. What do you need to bring? Braxton, got a question? Nope, just twice. I've only told you twice. We'll talk about the other ones in just a little bit. Okay, those are the only directions. Right. Once you get your paper, I want you to quietly go back to your desk. I will bring around the gummy worms. Once you get your gummy worm, you will start measuring. I have to take one pass it down. Jesse. Now, do you think, oh, sorry. Do you think it's okay if you quietly visit with your neighbor while you do this? I don't mind if you quietly visit with your neighbor, but it does need to be someone at your table group. So as you're coming around with worms, you should have your name on your paper. Let's make sure I have everybody. Braxton, you have a question? Sebastian, if you would like to move up to this raise your hand if you do not have a gummy worm. Did I get everybody? Talked about that.
It's just in case if we have time.
Lay your gummy worm out. Measure centimeters. Write it down. Measure inches. Write it down.
It's like everywhere. We're not taking one picture. I stretched it.
I got mine. This is a good one. Oh, yes. Now it's 5 inches. Yes, it's 24. 25. Put it together, just like put it together.
If you have not finished your measurements, I'm going to give you about another minute to finish up. Boys and girls sitting on the floor. Boys and girls sitting on the floor. Where do we normally sit? You're too close, and you're too far over this way. Rolling through it. Sit on the table. I say dummy. Nice job. I didn't see anybody breaking their worm, which was good. I was really worried. Now I want us to talk about some of the measurements you guys took. Right. Big one up here. I'm going to ask for a few measurements before for centimeters and inches. I'm going to ask for a few for the length after. All right. Before we stretched it, okay, centimeters. Look at your paper. Lila, how long was your worm? 9 centimeters. Touch your nose if yours was 9 centimeters. Close. Somebody raise your hand if you had a measurement other than 9. Sebastian, what did you have? Okay, nope, I'm still on before. Beforehand, did somebody have a measurement other than 9 centimeters? No. Braxton? Oh, no, yours wasn't. Tucker? 10. Did you have anything other than those two numbers? Was it all of your gummy worms were either 9 or 10 centimeters? Kylie, how long was yours? Ooh, 12. Oh my, that was a long one. Okay. Now look at your length after. After you stretched out your gummy worms, and I heard some of you while you were doing this, some of you got really, really long. Macy, what did you get? 20. Rule your ears if you got more than 20. Elizabeth, what did you get? 14. Ren? 12. Trip? 17. Caroline? 16. You guys are good gum roasters. Alright, that's all I'm going to get rid of. Alright, now look at the length before in inches. Now, do you guys think this number is going to be bigger or smaller than our centimeter measurements? Why? Raise your hand. Somebody tell me. Why are these numbers going to be smaller? Sebastian? Eli? I'm sorry, tell me that again. The numbers are farther apart on the inches? You are right. Alrighty. Somebody that has not told me a number. How long was your gummy worm before? inches. Braxton 44.5. Say that again. Goodness, somebody at the gummy worm factory must have been doing their jobs if some of our measurements are the same. Bella, how long was yours? 4. Does that cover all of our measurements in inches for our gummy worms? Does anybody have anything else? Okay, nice job. Look at your length afterwards. Here's where we might get some different numbers. Okay, stretching it in inches. How long was yours, Morgan? 10.5. Almost the whole length of your ruler. Wow. Good. Say it again. 5. How long was yours to start with? 4. Okay, so you didn't stretch yours very far, did you? No. All right, Lila. 10. Okay. 8.5. Did anybody stretch their gummy worm longer than 10 inches? No? It was good job. Okay. Nicely done. Alrighty, put your paper quietly on the floor. Somewhere it's not going to distract you. Lock those fingers. Alrighty. Now, I also have some boxes up here that say difference in centimeters and difference in inches. So now, have a guess. What does that mean? Chloe thinks we're going to subtract. Do you guys agree? Yes. Find the difference of something or we're comparing two things. We get to subtract. So in order to find the difference, what you're going to do is you're going to take your measurement before and your measurement after. You're going to subtract them. But which number do you think I have to start with? One. I'm taking these two numbers to subtract those two. Do I start with Sebastian? You need to start with the bigger number, which should be your length after stretching. Okay, so it's the opposite of how we measured it. We measured without stretching first. To do our subtraction, we have to take our after measurement first and subtract our before measurement. Okay, so I'm going to, and these numbers may not be the exact same. I'm going to start with 20, and I'm going to subtract 9. Okay, I circled these up here so you guys can see which numbers I'm working with. Now I'm going to write out my number problem. What are some strategies? How can I solve this problem? There are a couple different ways. Sebastian, how would you solve it?
How I would solve it is
What are you? How are you going to subtract?
I go back.
Count back. Rin, how would you solve it? Rin's going to turn it around into an addition problem and think 9 plus what gives me 20? 9 plus what gives me 20? And turn it into an addition problem. Would anybody else solve it differently? Would anybody? Yes, you could stack and subtract. Now, if I'm going to stack and subtract, be careful. Is there more on the floor or more on top? There's more on the floor, so what do I have to do? Go next door and get 10 more. I change that 2 into a 1 and squeeze that 10 stick over there. So now I'm looking at 10 minus 1, which is 10 minus 9 is 1. I gave you the answer. 1 minus nothing. So those are happened to be your numbers. then you need to find the difference. Yep, I want you to go back to this. Do your subtraction and then back to the floor with your paper. Okay? Yes, you may eat your gummy worms while you're doing your subtraction. Find your difference of your centimeters and find your difference of your inches. Then bring your paper back to the floor. You may eat your gummy worms while you subtract. Now, if you had a measurement that was a half of an inch, don't worry about that half. Just use the whole number, okay? Do your subtraction. Eat your gummy worm. Take your paper back to the floor. Sitting on the floor in your rows like you're supposed to. Challenge your brain. Right, boys and girls, when you're sitting on the floor, you're sitting too close. Push back just a little bit. You just step on something. Don't fall. Oh, thank you. Okay, boys and girls, I'm gonna write down a couple of our differences real quick, and then right. Chloe, what was your difference in centimeters? One. So your two numbers, your original length, Chloe, your original length and your stretched length were really close together, weren't they? Tracers are the same. Okay. Alright, boys and girls. Nicely done. Now, remember at the beginning, you predicted that our numbers would go up, get bigger as we stretched out our gummy worms. Was our prediction correct? Did your numbers get bigger from before to after? Should have. Yes. Ready? Everybody put your hand up in the air. Pat yourself on the back.